Ladies and gentlemen, every man and woman who has ever risen from obscurity to greatness, from poverty to riches, from doubt to confidence, has done so not by chance but by law. The universe operates on principles, and those who grasp them, who make them their companions, rise above the common drift of life. Success is not a matter of luck, nor is failure a curse handed down by fate. Both are the results of causes, and those causes can be understood, directed, and applied with deliberate purpose. You hold within you right now the same forces that built empires, discovered continents, and unlocked inventions that changed the destiny of mankind. The difference lies not in what you were given at birth, but in what you are willing to demand of yourself today. The starting point of all achievement is a definiteness of purpose. Without it, you are like a ship without a rudder, drifting wherever the current may carry you. Most people wander through life with only vague wishes, undefined dreams, or borrowed ambitions. They long for wealth, for happiness, for recognition, yet they do not stop to define precisely what it is they want, nor how much of it, nor the time within which they must claim it. Until you fix your purpose in your mind with the clarity of a burning flame, the world cannot conspire to deliver it to you. Desire is not enough. It must be definite, fixed, unyielding. When you know exactly what you want and why you must have it, you summon forces that sleep in the depths of your soul and command them to act. A mind made definite in its purpose is more powerful than the most favorable opportunity handed to a man who hesitates. But desire, definite though it may be, remains powerless unless you believe you can transmute it into reality. Faith is the master key that unlocks the treasures of the unseen. It is not idle hope, nor blind superstition. It is the state of mind you create by repeating to yourself the conviction that you can and will achieve what you have set your heart upon. Faith is built by affirmation, by persistence, by autosuggestion, by telling your own mind again and again the story of your triumph until it accepts it as inevitable. Every man who has succeeded has in the darkest hour of doubt refused to surrender his faith. When evidence pointed to failure, he maintained an inner knowing that circumstances must bend to the power of his conviction. Faith converts thought into its physical counterpart, and without it, no plan can live, no dream can endure. To strengthen faith, one must master the art of planting suggestions into the subconscious mind. The human mind is a fertile soil that grows whatever seed is planted and nourished. If you feed it fear, doubt, and limitation, it will yield a harvest of mediocrity. If you plant courage, confidence, and determination, it will return to you abundance, opportunity, and triumph. Daily you must take command of your inner dialogue. You must repeat with emotion and belief the vision of your desired reality until the subconscious, which does not argue nor question, accepts it as truth. What the subconscious accepts, it works tirelessly to manifest. In this lies the secret of why affirmations, visualization, and repeated thought build realities. Control your inner talk and you take possession of your destiny. Yet belief and suggestion must be joined with knowledge, for ignorance is a weak ally of success. Knowledge, however, must not be confused with the mere accumulation of facts. It is not the man who knows most who advances, but the one who knows how to organize what he knows, who knows where to find the information he needs, and who applies it with purpose. Specialized knowledge, focused, practical, and directed toward the attainment of your chief aim, is infinitely more valuable than general knowledge, scattered without order. To master your destiny, you must be a student all your life. Learn from books, from experience, from the wisdom of others. Gather knowledge not for idle pride, but to use it as raw material in the construction of your purpose. Knowledge unused is a burden. Knowledge applied with intelligence is power. Still, no knowledge bears fruit unless organized into a definite plan of action. A man who dreams without planning is a castle builder in the air. The universe respects action, and action begins with a plan. That plan may not be perfect. In fact, it rarely is. But a plan executed with determination will open doors that would remain locked to the hesitant dreamer. Plans may fail, but failure is only temporary, a signal that you must adjust and refine. Those who win are those who plan, act, revise, and act again until success bows in surrender. Without a plan, desire dies in frustration. With a plan, even a modest man becomes formidable. The greatest plans, however, seldom prosper without the aid of others. No man has ever risen alone. Behind every towering achievement stands a harmony of minds working in concert. Success requires that you surround yourself with men and women who share your purpose, who complement your weaknesses with their strengths, and who contribute their counsel, their resources, their encouragement. This is not mere association, it is a mastermind, a union of minds that creates a new, higher mind greater than the sum of its parts. Alone, you may advance a little, but with the combined intelligence of others aligned to your vision, you may achieve what would take lifetimes on your own. Choose your associates wisely, for they will shape the destiny you pursue. To move steadily toward your goals, you must also develop the habit of decision. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. Procrastination has ruined more dreams than lack of talent or unfavorable conditions. The successful person decides quickly, firmly, and rarely changes that decision except when new evidence demands it. The unsuccessful man hesitates, consults his fears, and allows the opinions of others to sway him. Every time you refuse to decide, you surrender your power to circumstances. Every time you decide boldly, you increase your mastery of life. Remember that opportunities wait for no man. The world steps aside for the one who knows where he is going and moves with resolution. But decisions must be sustained by persistence. Without persistence, even the greatest talent fails. Obstacles, failures, discouragement, and rejection are tests designed to measure the strength of your desire. Those who persist when others surrender prove themselves worthy of success. Most people are defeated not by external conditions, but by the weakness of their own will. They quit when the goal is in sight. They surrender when the night seems darkest, forgetting that dawn comes only to those who endure. Persistence transforms failure into stepping stones and makes defeat only a detour, never a dead end. The man who persists writes his destiny in stone. No man achieves greatness unless he learns to master his own mind. Thoughts of fear, doubt, jealousy, and anger poison the well of success. Thoughts of courage, harmony, and abundance enrich it. The one who conquers his mind conquers his world. You must train yourself to think clearly, to reason accurately, to filter your thoughts as carefully as a jeweler selects his stones. Let no destructive thought lodge in your mind unchallenged. Guard it as a fortress, for your thoughts will soon become your words your actions your habits, and your habits your destiny. Beyond self-mastery lies the power of the imagination. Everything that exists in this world, from the towering skyscraper to the humble chair, began first as an idea in a mind. Imagination is the workshop of the soul, where desire is given shape, plan, and form. Use it freely, use it boldly. Picture your goals as already achieved. See yourself living in the reality you seek. Then employ synthetic imagination to arrange knowledge and experience into new plans, or creative imagination to tap into the infinite intelligence that whispers solutions from the unseen. Never dismiss a flash of inspiration, for it may hold the key to your fortune. Imagination turns the invisible into the inevitable. But to sustain all these principles, you must cultivate enthusiasm and controlled energy. Enthusiasm is contagious. It magnetizes others to your cause. No man ever inspires cooperation or loyalty without it. It is the fire that transforms cold plans into living action. Yet enthusiasm without control is a flame that burns out quickly. Direct it, discipline it, and use it to propel your persistence and faith. Alongside enthusiasm, exercise self-discipline. Govern your appetites, your speech, your actions. He who cannot command himself can command nothing else. The disciplined man channels his energies like a mighty river, not scattering them like a flood. In all dealings, remember that success cannot be severed from integrity. You may gain temporary advantage by deceit, but you will pay for it in lost confidence both from others and within yourself. Trust is the coin of lasting success, and it cannot be bought cheaply. Say truthfully, act honorably, and build your fortune on principles that endure. The world may tolerate dishonesty for a time, but it will eventually strip it bare. Integrity is not merely a moral ornament, it is a practical necessity. It keeps alliances strong, reputations unsullied, and consciences free. And above all, recognize that there is a higher order that governs the flow of life. Call it infinite intelligence, universal law, or divine order. The name does not matter. What matters is that you understand your mind is but a fragment of a greater whole, and when harmonized with it through faith, prayer, meditation, or deep reflection, you gain access to wisdom beyond your own. Those who listen to this higher voice, who attune themselves to the subtle guidance it provides, walk paths others cannot see. It is the source of genius, intuition, and inspiration. It is available to every man who seeks it with sincerity. These principles are not theories, nor are they reserved for the favored few. They are the very laws by which success has been built in every age by every man who has risen to greatness. They work as faithfully for you as they did for those who came before. The only question is whether you will apply them with faith, persistence, and definiteness of purpose. You may begin today where you stand with whatever you possess. You need not wait for more education, more money, or better circumstances. You need only to decide that you will no longer drift, but will take command of your thoughts, your actions, and your destiny. Life will test you. You will meet defeat, criticism, ridicule, and perhaps betrayal. But these are not signs that you must abandon your course. They are the furnace in which your character is forged, the trials that prove the depth of your desire. Each obstacle contains within it the seed of equal or greater opportunity. If you hold fast, if you persist, if you refuse to surrender your faith, the day will come when even your enemies will wonder at the power that carried you forward. Look about you. Everything you see that is useful, beautiful, or enduring was first a thought in someone's mind. You too are a creator. You too possess the power to think, to plan, to act, to persist, and to transform your inner world into outer reality. Never again say that success belongs to others but not to you. Never again believe that fortune is a matter of chance. The same laws that built fortunes, discoveries, and empires stand ready to serve you. You have but to align yourself with them, to adopt them as your way of life, to weave them into the fabric of your daily decisions. Awaken, therefore, to the grandeur of your own power. Set your purpose clearly, believe in it absolutely, affirm it continually, plan for it intelligently, act upon it decisively, persist in it relentlessly, and surround it with imagination, integrity, and faith in the higher order of things. If you will do this, there is nothing you cannot achieve, no height you cannot climb, no dream you cannot make flesh. You are the master of your fate because you are the master of your mind. Life waits upon your decision. Choose now to claim the fullness of your potential and let the world witness what a man or woman armed with principles and driven by purpose can accomplish. A definite purpose is the starting point of all success. Without it, you drift. With it, you command. When a man or woman steps into the world without a clear aim, life becomes a series of random occurrences, a string of days with no anchor and no compass. Such a person rises each morning not because of a calling, but because of habit, and drifts into the night with nothing accomplished that can move them closer to greatness. A mind without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, carried by the currents of other people's decisions, tossed by the winds of chance, and finally wrecked upon the rocks of wasted potential. Yet when you define your purpose with precision and commit to it with unshakable determination, you seize command not only of your life, but of the very forces of circumstance that shape your destiny. The difference between drifting and commanding lies in that single act of definiteness. Every achievement that has ever stood the test of time began in the heart of someone who knew exactly what they wanted. The inventor who gave the world electricity did not merely wish for light. He was definite in his determination to harness it. The leader who transformed nations did not speak in vague hopes. He set before himself and his people a definite goal. The artist whose work still inspires centuries later did not wander aimlessly with a brush in hand. He held a vision so clear that his every stroke brought it to life. A definite purpose acts like a magnet, pulling resources, opportunities, and people into its orbit. When your goal is clear, life itself seems to conspire to assist you. When it is vague, the world does not know how to respond. Many people fall into the trap of believing that desire alone is enough. They want wealth, health, love, recognition, or peace of mind. But a wish is a shadow, while a definite purpose is substance. To say I want wealth is like saying I want food while wandering through a forest with no idea of where to find it. To say I will earn $1 million by building a business that provides this specific value to people within this period of time is to give your mind a map and your actions a direction. The vague dreamer stands still, hoping that fortune may stumble upon him. The definite dreamer moves forward with a torch, searching, building, and compelling fortune to reveal itself. When you set a definite purpose, you do more than shape your own direction. You shape your very character. The moment you choose what you truly want, you awaken in yourself energies you did not know you possessed. Your mind becomes alert to opportunities it previously ignored. Your emotions rally around your aim and give you the stamina to endure hardship. Even your failures serve you, for they no longer appear as meaningless accidents, but as feedback guiding you closer to your destination. A clear purpose transforms suffering into sacrifice, doubt into discipline, and wandering into progress. The drifter, by contrast, suffers most not from lack of opportunity, but from lack of direction. He may possess talent, intelligence, even resources, but he scatters them across a dozen whims. One day he chases money, the next day approval, the next day ease. His energies are like a river flowing aimlessly across a plain, spreading wide but shallow, nourishing little, and leaving no mark. The man of definite purpose is like that same river channeled into a narrow course, whose waters turn wheels, generate power, and carve valleys that endure for millennia. It is not always more talent that distinguishes the successful from the unsuccessful. It is definiteness of purpose that separates power from waste. There is a law at work in the human mind. What you focus on expands. If your purpose is scattered, your results will be scattered. If your purpose is definite, your results will gather strength as surely as a snowball rolling downhill. Each small victory builds upon the last, momentum grows, and what began as a single thought becomes an unstoppable force. Purpose, once fixed, multiplies itself. It inspires faith, fuels persistence, attracts allies, and compels action. But it must be definite, for a clouded aim never catches fire. To discover your definite purpose, you must first look inward with honesty. Ask yourself not only what you desire, but what you must have to feel your life fulfilled. What is it that, if you attained it, would justify all effort, all sacrifice, and all time spent in pursuit? Be precise, for vague desire leads only to vague results. If you say you want happiness, define what form that happiness must take. If you say you want wealth, specify how much, by when, and through what channel. The more definite your purpose, the more clearly your subconscious mind can work to bring it about. And once you have set it, write it down, repeat it daily, and let it govern every decision you make. The world respects the man who knows where he is going. Employers hire him, investors trust him, followers rally to him, and even his critics secretly admire him. He exudes a confidence that is magnetic because he carries within him the clarity of direction. The drifter inspires no such trust, for he is a reed shaken by every wind, today saying one thing and tomorrow another. The definite man is the oak tree standing firm through the storm because his roots are planted in purpose. Definiteness of purpose does not mean stubbornness. Plans may change, methods may evolve, opportunities may redirect your path, but the end remains clear, and all changes serve the larger aim. Think of the sailor who adjusts his sails according to the wind, but never loses sight of the harbor he is sailing toward. Without a harbor, every wind is against him. With a harbor, even unfavorable winds become useful, for they teach him skill and sharpen his resolve. Life's obstacles will seem less like enemies and more like teachers once you have a definite purpose guiding you. Some may say, but what if I choose the wrong purpose? The truth is, the only wrong choice is to choose nothing. A man with a purpose, even one he later refines, will achieve more in a year than the purposeless man achieves in a lifetime. The act of pursuing a goal reveals new truths, opens doors, and sharpens vision. You cannot steer a ship that never leaves the harbor. Begin where you stand with the clearest purpose you can form, and life will reward your initiative by revealing greater and greater clarity as you advance. To live without purpose is to betray your own potential. You were not born to drift through life as a leaf upon the stream carried by the currents of other men's desires. You were born with the power of choice, with the gift of imagination, with the ability to fix upon a star and bend your actions toward it. Definite purpose is the expression of that divine gift. It is the proof that you honor the life given to you. When you choose a purpose and dedicate yourself to it, you not only change your own destiny, but influence countless others who are drawn into the orbit of your determination. A definite purpose does not merely create external success, it creates inner strength. The man who knows why he rises in the morning, why he toils, why he sacrifices, why he endures hardship, possesses a fire within him that no external storm can extinguish. He is anchored in meaning, and that meaning gives him resilience. The drifter who lacks this inner compass is broken by the first wave of difficulty, for he has no reason to persist. Purpose gives courage, and courage gives victory. Therefore, let no day pass without reminding yourself of your definite purpose. Let no decision be made without asking, does this bring me closer to my aim? Let no hardship dissuade you, no criticism discourage you, no delay deter you, for the man or woman who fixes a purpose, believes in it, and pursues it with unyielding determination commands not only their own destiny, but the respect of the world and the cooperation of unseen forces that move all things toward order. You were not meant to drift. You were meant to command, and command begins the moment you decide, clearly and definitely, what it is you will live for. Faith transforms desire into reality. Doubt turns opportunity into dust. Within these words lies the secret of why some men rise to power while others sink into despair, why one seizes fortune while another lets it slip away. Faith is the invisible bridge between thought and manifestation, the unseen force that gives life to ideas, the spark that turns a vague dream into a living reality. Doubt, on the other hand, is the destroyer. It weakens the will, clouds the mind, paralyzes action, and blinds the eyes to the very opportunities that could have led to triumph. The difference between those who conquer and those who are conquered is not always intelligence, education, or resources. It is faith. Faith is not a passive hope. It is not a timid whisper that says, perhaps it might be. Faith is a fire, a burning conviction that says, it will be, because I will make it so. Every man who has achieved greatness has at some point faced obstacles so formidable that reason alone would have told him to surrender. And yet, against all visible evidence, he held fast to faith. That faith kept him moving when others stopped, creating when others doubted, believing when others mocked. The result was that desire became reality, not because the path was easy, but because faith refused to let go. Desire by itself is like a seed. It carries potential, but unless planted in the fertile soil of faith, it never takes root. You may long for wealth, health, happiness, or achievement, but if you do not believe, truly believe that these can be yours, your longing becomes mere fantasy. Faith is the water and sunlight that cause desire to grow, and doubt is the poison that withers it. Faith says, I will find the way. Doubt says, there is no way. Faith creates persistence, doubt creates paralysis. Faith opens the mind to inspiration. Doubt blinds it to solutions already within reach. The subconscious mind is the workshop in which faith operates. Whatever you impress upon it with feeling, it accepts as truth and works tirelessly to bring into being. When you affirm to yourself daily that your goal is not only possible but certain, you are feeding your subconscious with faith. When you dwell on fear, worry, and uncertainty, you are feeding it with doubt. And the subconscious, impartial and obedient, manifest both with equal fidelity. Thus, the man who believes he will succeed often does, and the man who believes he will fail almost always ensures his own defeat. Life responds not to what you want, but to what you believe. Consider history's inventors and pioneers. The man who dreamed of a machine that could fly was ridiculed by a world that believed man was bound to earth. Yet faith in his vision carried him to the sky. The man who imagined light filling the night was mocked by those who clung to gas lamps, but faith carried him to the creation of electricity harnessed for human use. In every age, it has been faith, not doubt, that pushed boundaries, opened new worlds, and created miracles out of impossibility. Doubt has never created anything except regret. It is not enough, however, to possess faith only in times of ease. True faith shows its power in the midst of adversity. Anyone can believe when circumstances are favorable, when money flows easily, when friends cheer, and when success seems near. But the one who maintains faith when all seems lost, when failures pile up, when critics jeer, when doors slam shut, that is the one who transforms desire into reality. Faith in adversity is not naive blindness. It is conscious mastery of the inner state, a refusal to let external darkness extinguish inner light. Doubt often disguises itself as caution or wisdom. It whispers, be realistic. Do not aim too high. What if you fail? But what it truly seeks is to keep you small, to chain you to mediocrity, to prevent you from daring. Faith answers, I will act, and in acting I will learn, and in learning I will rise. Doubt paralyzes action before it begins. Faith moves boldly, knowing that even mistakes are steps forward. No man ever achieved greatness by listening to doubt. Every fortune, every discovery, every enduring work of art was produced by someone who believed beyond reason, beyond evidence, beyond fear. There is a self-fulfilling power in faith. When you believe in your ability, your confidence grows. That confidence shows in your posture, your speech, your decisions, and your persistence. Others sense it and respond with trust, opportunity, and support. Success begins to flow, not because fate suddenly favors you, but because faith has altered the way you move through the world. Conversely, when doubt rules you, your energy diminishes, your words falter, your actions hesitate. People sense uncertainty and withdraw their confidence. Opportunity shrinks away from a doubtful man as surely as light withdraws from darkness. Faith is built by repetition and discipline. No one is born with it fully developed. It must be cultivated like a muscle. Each time you choose to affirm your belief instead of feeding your doubt, you strengthen it. Each time you visualize your success, feel it as if it were already real, and act as though it cannot fail, you are training your subconscious to accept success as inevitable. Doubt weakens when starved of attention. Faith grows when fed with conviction. Just as exercise strengthens the body, repeated acts of belief strengthen the soul. One of the greatest truths about faith is that it does not demand perfect knowledge. You do not need to know exactly how your desire will manifest. You need only to know that it will. Faith sees the destination while leaving the details to be revealed in time. Doubt demands every step in advance and, finding none, declares the journey impossible. Faith says, step forward and the path will appear. Doubt says, wait until the path appears before stepping forward. Thus faith advances while doubt remains stagnant, and only in motion does life reveal its hidden treasures. Even failure bows before faith. The man of faith does not see failure as final, but as a temporary detour, a lesson disguised as a stepping stone. He learns, adjusts, and persists. The doubter sees the same failure as proof that he should never have tried, and so he quits. In this lies the profound difference. Faith turns setbacks into fuel, while doubt turns them into shackles. Faith transforms defeats into preparation for victory, while doubt transforms defeats into permanent surrender. There is also power in having faith not only in yourself, but in a higher order that governs life. Call it providence, infinite intelligence, or divine order. When you believe that unseen forces are working with you, you gain strength beyond your own. Faith links you to a source of creativity, intuition, and resilience that doubt can never access. Doubt isolates you in weakness. Faith connects you to the infinite. Those who trust in this higher partnership walk with courage because they know they are never alone. To live with faith is to walk as though the unseen were already seen. It is to hold in your heart the certainty of victory while the battlefield still rages. It is to act as though your desire were already reality, and in so doing to summon that reality into being. Faith is not waiting for proof. It is creating proof through unwavering belief and relentless action. Doubt waits for evidence and dies waiting. Faith creates evidence by refusing to quit until desire becomes real. Therefore, examine your thoughts daily. Ask yourself, am I feeding faith or doubt? Am I watering the seed of my desire with belief, or am I poisoning it with hesitation? Every moment you are choosing which master to serve. Choose faith and you will rise. Choose doubt and you will fall. Faith transforms desire into reality because it compels action, attracts allies, inspires persistence, and draws upon unseen forces. Doubt turns opportunity into dust because it paralyzes action, repels support, weakens persistence, and blinds you to the chances before you. You stand always at the crossroads of these two forces. The path of faith may be steep and long, but it leads to triumph. The path of doubt may appear safer, but it ends in regret. Remember this always. No dream is too great for faith to achieve, and no opportunity is so strong that doubt cannot destroy it. Choose faith, nurture it daily, and watch your deepest desires take shape before your very eyes. Your subconscious mind is your silent partner. It grows whatever seeds you plant. The greatest secret of human potential lies not in the strength of the body or the brilliance of the intellect, but in the silent power of the subconscious mind. Every man and woman carries within them a partner that never sleeps, never tires, and never questions, but faithfully works day and night to transform thoughts into reality. It is impartial, obedient, and infinitely creative. Yet most people live their entire lives ignorant of its powers, allowing random thoughts, fears, and doubts to fall like weeds into its soil. They wonder why life gives them struggle instead of abundance, why fear multiplies instead of confidence, why defeat returns instead of victory. The reason is simple. The subconscious mind grows whatever seeds you plant, whether you sow flowers of faith or weeds of fear. Think of your mind as a garden. The conscious mind is the gardener, selecting seeds and planting them. The subconscious is the soil, fertile and ready to grow whatever is given. It does not argue with the gardener. If you plant corn, you reap corn. If you plant poison, you reap poison. The subconscious does not discriminate between good and bad, helpful or harmful. It simply accepts and multiplies. If you feed it with affirmations of strength, courage, success, and abundance, it will work tirelessly to arrange your circumstances to reflect them. If you feed it with fear, doubt, worry, and limitation, it will work just as faithfully to bring those into your life. This is why so many people unknowingly sabotage themselves. They desire one thing but plant its opposite. They long for success but constantly dwell on failure. They dream of wealth but continually think of lack. The subconscious, receiving these seeds, delivers exactly what has been sown. The subconscious mind controls far more of your life than you realize. It directs your habits, governs your automatic responses, influences your health, and shapes your perception of reality. It is the silent force behind intuition, creativity, and the gut feelings that often prove more accurate than reason itself. When programmed deliberately with the right seeds, it becomes a partner of infinite value. It can guide you toward the right opportunities, connect you with the right people, and even bring forth flashes of inspiration that solve problems your conscious mind could not untangle. Those who achieve greatness understand this partnership and cultivate it daily. Those who drift leave it untended and pay the price. Consider how habits are formed. A man decides to act a certain way once, then again, until his subconscious accepts the pattern as law. From then on, he no longer decides consciously. The subconscious carries out the behavior automatically. The same principle applies to belief. Tell yourself something often enough, and with enough emotion, and your subconscious accepts it as fact. It matters little whether it is true or false. The subconscious does not judge. Tell yourself you are weak, and it will make you weak. Tell yourself you are strong, and it will create strength. This is why repeated affirmation and visualization are so powerful. They are tools for planting deliberate seeds into the soil of the subconscious. Great achievers have always known how to impress their vision upon the subconscious. They did not simply daydream, they imagined their goals vividly, felt them deeply, and repeated them constantly until the subconscious accepted them as reality. Once accepted, the subconscious acted as though success were already true, guiding thoughts, behaviors, and opportunities to make it so. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. It responds to whatever is presented with intensity and emotion. This is why worry is so destructive. It is negative imagination. When you dwell on fearful outcomes, you are planting seeds of disaster. The subconscious takes them as instructions and begins working to bring them about. If you wish to master life, you must therefore become a deliberate gardener of your mind. Guard the gates of thought as a sentinel. Do not allow destructive ideas to enter unchecked. Choose carefully what you read, what you listen to, whom you associate with, for every influence carries seeds. A single careless word, repeated and absorbed, can lodge in the subconscious and take root. A lifetime of negative conditioning from parents, teachers, or peers often explains why so many live below their potential. But the soil of the subconscious can always be replanted. No matter what weeds have grown, you can uproot them with persistence and replace them with seeds of faith, strength, and vision. The subconscious also governs the body. Doctors have long observed the power of belief in healing, calling it the placebo effect, though they often fail to recognize its true depth. When the subconscious accepts the belief that healing will occur, the body follows. When it accepts the belief that sickness is inevitable, the body complies as well. The subconscious regulates heartbeat, digestion, immune response functions beyond conscious control, yet it responds to the commands of thought and belief. Those who fill their minds with fear of illness often invite illness. Those who affirm health and vitality often recover where reason predicted failure. This is not superstition, but the natural law of mind and body in harmony. Creativity also flows from the subconscious. Many of the greatest inventions, works of art, and solutions to problems have come not from conscious reasoning, but from sudden flashes of insight, when the mind was relaxed. The inventor who awoke with the answer, the poet who received a line in a dream, the scientist whose solution appeared during a walk, all were receiving the fruits of seeds planted in the subconscious. When you focus intensely on a problem, then release it. The subconscious continues working in silence until it delivers the answer. To cultivate this, plant seeds of possibility, hold your vision clearly, and trust your silent partner to deliver. But remember, the subconscious must be directed with clarity. Vague instructions produce vague results. If you say, "I want success," the subconscious does not know what that means. If you say, "I will earn this amount by this date through this method," you give it a definite seed to grow. The clearer the instruction, the faster the subconscious works. This is why defeatedness of purpose is so closely tied to subconscious influence. A clear purpose provides the seed, repetition and faith water it, the subconscious brings it to life. Doubt and fear are the greatest poisons to the subconscious. Each time you affirm your goal but immediately follow with, "But what if I fail?" you plant weeds among your crops. The subconscious grows both, and the result is frustration and mixed results. To succeed, you must banish doubt from your inner dialogue. You must speak to your subconscious with authority, as a master commands a servant, not pleading, not questioning, but declaring, "This I will do, this I will become, this I will have." Repeat it until it is etched deep within, until the subconscious accepts it as law. From that moment, your silent partner begins arranging circumstances with a precision that seems miraculous to the untrained. It is worth noting that the subconscious does not work instantly. Seeds take time to germinate. Farmers do not plant today and harvest tomorrow. Likewise, when you plant faith, affirmations, and definite goals, the results may not appear at once, but they are growing, silently, invisibly, beneath the surface. Many abandon their efforts too soon, mistaking the silence for failure. But those who persist, who continue to plant good seeds daily, awaken one morning to find that their harvest has arrived in abundance. The subconscious mind is the most loyal partner you will ever have. It never abandons you, never betrays you, never ceases its labor. The only question is whether you will be a wise master or a careless one. Will you plant with intention or scatter seeds of worry, anger, and limitation? Will you feed it images of strength or weakness? Will you direct it with faith or confuse it with fear? The choice is yours every moment of every day. Understand this truth deeply. You are always programming your subconscious mind. Every word you speak, every thought you dwell upon, every emotion you repeat is a seed. There is no pause button. If you do not take control, the world will plant its seeds for you through fear-driven news, gossip, criticism, and negativity. To live as a master, you must take deliberate charge. You must choose what to plant, tend it daily, and protect it from corruption. In the end, the greatest power you hold is the ability to decide what grows in the garden of your subconscious. Plant fear, and you will harvest limitation. Plant courage, and you will reap achievement. Plant doubt, and opportunities will turn to dust. Plant faith, and desires will blossom into reality. Your subconscious is not your enemy nor your master. It is your silent partner, ever ready to serve, ever willing to obey. Treat it with wisdom, guide it with clarity, feed it with faith, and it will lead you to heights you never imagined possible. A specialized knowledge applied with intelligence is power in motion. Knowledge by itself is potential, dormant and passive. It sits in books stored in the minds of men locked away in institutions, waiting for someone with vision and determination to breathe life into it. But knowledge, unless directed, is no more useful than a library no one enters or a tool that lies idle in a workshop. The transformation begins when knowledge is specialized, focused, organized, and applied toward a definite aim. General knowledge may earn respect in conversation, but it rarely builds fortunes or changes destinies. Specialized knowledge, intelligently used, becomes a force that shapes industries, builds empires, and elevates ordinary individuals into extraordinary leaders. A man may know much about everything and yet remain poor, while another who knows deeply about one thing and applies it with strategy becomes wealthy, influential, and free. The difference lies not in how much is known, but in how knowledge is used. Knowledge must be organized into plans of action and applied with persistence to definite goals. Otherwise, it remains inert. A professor may hold vast stores of general knowledge, yet a single entrepreneur with focused insight into one industry may outdistance him in wealth and impact. It is not the quantity of knowledge that counts. It is the sharpness, direction, and application. Specialized knowledge is like a magnifying glass. General sunlight warms the skin, but concentrated sunlight through a lens ignites fire. In the same way, general knowledge creates comfort, but specialized knowledge, focused on a clear purpose, creates power. The world does not pay for what you know in theory. It pays for what you can do in practice, for the problems you can solve, and for the value you can create. Specialized knowledge makes you indispensable because it meets specific needs. And when intelligence is added, the ability to apply knowledge wisely, adapt it to changing circumstances, and align it with definite goals, that knowledge becomes unstoppable power in motion. History proves this truth. Every invention, every great fortune, every leap in civilization has come from specialized knowledge applied to a purpose. The men who built railroads were not necessarily the wisest in philosophy, but they mastered steel, locomotion, and logistics. The pioneers of aviation did not hold the greatest libraries of history, but they specialized in aerodynamics and mechanics. The titans of technology today are not masters of every field, but they command deep understanding in narrow domains, applying it with intelligence and vision until the world bends to their creations. In every case, the secret was the same: knowledge directed into motion. But intelligence must guide specialization, for knowledge without wisdom can be destructive. A man may learn how to build machines, but fail to see how to market them, how to organize men around them, or how to fit them into the needs of society. Intelligence provides foresight, balance, and adaptability. It sees not just the details of the knowledge itself, but the larger context in which it must be applied. It knows when to adjust course, when to combine knowledge with the insights of others, when to turn information into systems that serve. Intelligence ensures that knowledge is not wasted in misdirected effort, but harnessed to a definite goal. This is why the greatest successes are rarely solitary. One individual may not hold all the specialized knowledge required to build an enterprise, but through alliances, partnerships, and mastermind groups, knowledge can be assembled, directed, and put into action. No one needs to know everything, but one must know where to find the knowledge, how to organize it, and how to apply it intelligently. The leader does not always hold the most knowledge. He holds the vision and directs knowledge like a general directing armies. In this lies the genius of applied intelligence, the ability to marshal resources, combine skills, and turn knowledge into power. Consider the difference between a man who reads endlessly about wealth but never applies a single lesson, and a man who learns a single trade, applies it relentlessly, and grows it into a business. The first remains a dreamer. The second becomes a master. Knowledge must be put into motion. Ideas not acted upon die. Insights not applied fade into memory. The true test of knowledge is not what you know, but what results you produce. Every man is judged not by the library he has read, but by the legacy he has built. Specialized knowledge is also the foundation of confidence. When you know deeply and clearly in one area, you speak with authority, act with certainty, and inspire trust. People follow those who demonstrate mastery, not those who dabble in everything. A jack of all trades may be admired for versatility, but it is the master of one who commands the highest price. The lawyer who knows the intricacies of one field of law, the doctor who specializes in one branch of medicine, the craftsman who perfects one skill, all become indispensable. The world pays generously for mastery. But mastery is not stagnant. Specialized knowledge must be kept alive through constant learning and adaptation. The world changes, industries evolve, and methods become obsolete. The intelligent man continues to refine, expand, and update his specialization, never clinging blindly to old ways. He studies new tools, learns from competitors, listens to customers, and grows sharper with time. He remains a student even as he becomes a master, knowing that power in motion must always stay in motion. The tragedy of many lives lies in the possession of unused knowledge. How many men study fields they never enter? How many learn skills they never practice? How many allow their education to fade unused into memory while they settle for work far beneath their potential? Knowledge is not meant to be stored. It is meant to be lived. The difference between mediocrity and greatness often lies not in intelligence, but in application. One man uses his knowledge to improve, to build, to advance. Another buries it in procrastination and fear. The soil of success accepts only seeds of applied effort. The secret, then, is not merely to seek knowledge, but to decide what knowledge is most valuable to your definite purpose and pursue it relentlessly. It is to take that knowledge and weave it into plans of action. Test those plans, refine them, and persist until results appear. It is to never rest on what you know, but to push further, to specialize deeper, and to adapt smarter. For in this lies the engine of advancement, knowledge applied with intelligence, moving toward a goal with unstoppable force. Every man and woman has access to knowledge today in ways past generations could not imagine. Books, mentors, schools, experiences all offer seeds of specialization. But the harvest depends on what you do with them. If you merely collect knowledge, you remain a collector. If you apply knowledge with intelligence, you become a creator. The world bows not to those who know much, but to those who use what they know to solve problems, create value, and move society forward. Remember this always. Knowledge is static until you move it. General knowledge fills the mind, specialized knowledge fills the pocket, strengthens the spirit, and changes the world. When combined with intelligence, the capacity to apply, to adapt, to organize, and to persist, it becomes power in motion, a force that cannot be denied. You hold within you the choice to drift among the generalities or to master a specialty and set it into motion. Choose mastery, choose application, choose movement. For in that choice lies the difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of power. A plan, even if imperfect, executed with persistence, is stronger than a perfect dream left idle. The world is filled with men and women who carry magnificent visions in their minds, but never take the first step toward bringing them to life. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect knowledge, the perfect resources, or the perfect conditions. And in their waiting, the years slip by, their dreams grow stale, and their potential withers into regret. On the other hand, those who dare to act, even with incomplete plans, find that motion itself creates clarity, progress, and power. The difference between success and failure is not perfection of design, but execution with persistence. Life rewards action. A dream, no matter how beautiful, is only a shadow until it is clothed in deeds. You may imagine an empire, a career, or a future of greatness, but until you translate it into action, it remains no more than a fantasy. Action, even flawed, sets forces in motion that reveal the path. Each step forward uncovers lessons that no amount of thinking could provide. Mistakes teach more than endless contemplation. The man who acts and fails learns, adjusts, and grows. The man who waits remains unchanged. Perfection is a mirage. Those who seek it before beginning will never begin. There will always be something missing, something uncertain, some reason to delay, but life is not conquered by hesitation. It is conquered by momentum. An imperfect plan executed today is better than the flawless plan that never leaves the safety of imagination. The world remembers the builders, not the dreamers who never dared to build. It honors those who tried, stumbled, and rose again, not those who remained in silence waiting for certainty that never arrived. Every great achievement in history was born from plans that, in their early form, were incomplete, messy, or even inadequate. The pioneers of flight did not begin with perfection. Their machines crashed, Their theories failed, yet their persistence refined their efforts until mankind conquered the skies. The inventors of the modern world faced countless failures, setbacks, and revisions, but each attempt, however flawed, brought them closer to success. Progress is built on imperfect beginnings, shaped by persistence and perfected through experience. When you move, you generate power. A plan acted upon becomes a seed planted in the soil of reality. It grows, changes, and adapts. Opportunities appear only after you begin. Doors open only when you knock. People are drawn to those in motion, not those lost in endless planning. Momentum attracts allies, resources, and solutions that remain invisible to the idle dreamer. By acting, you declare to the world and to yourself that your dream is real. Each step forward creates a new horizon. Persistence is the force that transforms imperfect plans into victories. The first attempt may falter, the second may fail, but the man of persistence refuses to surrender. He refines his plan, learns from his mistakes, and presses forward again and again until success yields. Persistence makes up for lack of knowledge, lack of resources, and lack of skill, because it sharpens all three. The persistent man eventually becomes the expert, gains the resources, and masters the skill simply by refusing to quit. An imperfect plan, when backed by persistence, evolves into a great plan. A perfect dream left idle decays into nothing. Consider the farmer who plants seeds. He does not wait for the perfect soil, the perfect rain, or the perfect season. He works with what he has, plants imperfectly, and tends persistently. Some seeds fail, but others flourish, and his harvest comes. The dreamer who waits for the perfect season never sows, and so he never reaps. Life follows the same law. Imperfect action, persisted in, brings a harvest. Inaction, no matter how well dreamed, brings only barrenness. The fear of failure often keeps men from acting. They imagine the humiliation of mistakes, the pain of setbacks, the loss of resources. But the truth is this: failure is the tuition for success. Every misstep is a lesson, every setback a teacher, every defeat a preparation for victory. To fear failure is to fear growth. The man who never fails is the man who never tries, and he remains small. The man who fails often and persists becomes great, for he learns, adapts, and discovers paths invisible to the timid. The power of execution lies also in the discipline it creates. When you act daily on your plan, no matter how imperfect, you forge habits of persistence, courage, and resilience. Each action strengthens your will. Each step builds momentum, and each effort moves you closer to mastery. Dreams left idle weaken the will, erode confidence, and feed procrastination. Execution feeds faith, because each completed action is proof that you are capable, that your dream is possible, that progress is real. Imperfect plans have another hidden advantage. They leave room for discovery. When you move, you encounter realities that refine your vision. You find better methods, meet the right people, and stumble upon opportunities you could never have predicted. If you wait for perfection before beginning, you deny yourself these discoveries. Action reveals what thinking alone cannot. It turns abstract ideas into concrete results, showing you what works and what does not. This is why the man who acts, even clumsily, overtakes the man who waits for flawless precision. Dreams without execution create frustration. The heart longs for expression, for growth, for achievement. When you suppress action, you suffocate your own spirit. Restlessness grows, confidence shrinks, and regret takes root. But when you act, however imperfectly, you breathe life into your vision. You feel the thrill of movement, the satisfaction of progress, and the joy of creation. Even small victories feed the soul with energy to continue. Action is the antidote to despair, and persistence is the cure for defeat. The lesson is clear. Do not wait for perfect knowledge, perfect conditions, or perfect timing. Begin with what you have, where you are, and move forward. Your plan will evolve as you do. Each step teaches you the next. Each failure refines your approach. Each act of persistence brings you closer to the outcome you seek. The man who dares to act even imperfectly will always surpass the man who dreams and delays. In the end, history does not remember those who dreamed perfectly but never acted. It remembers those who, with imperfect beginnings, set their plans in motion and refused to stop. Greatness is not built in the mind alone, but in the union of thought and deed refined by persistence. The imperfect plan executed with persistence will always carve its way through obstacles, while the perfect dream left idle fades like mist. Choose motion over hesitation, persistence over perfection, and action over idleness. For in that choice lies the power to turn your dreams into reality. No man climbs alone. The mastermind of aligned minds multiplies power beyond measure. Every summit that has ever been reached, every empire that has ever been built, every invention that has ever reshaped the world has been the result of minds coming together in harmony, combining their strengths, insights, and energies to accomplish what no single individual could achieve in isolation. The myth of the self-made man is appealing, but it is incomplete. No one rises to greatness without the counsel, cooperation, and contribution of others. Behind every leader is a circle of trusted allies. Behind every fortune is a network of minds in alignment. Behind every breakthrough is the collective genius of those who dared to think and act together. The principle is simple yet profound. When two or more minds align in harmony around a definite purpose, they create a third invisible mind, a mastermind greater than the sum of its parts. Ideas flow more freely, energy increases, courage multiplies, and solutions emerge that would never have been born in solitude. Each mind contributes not only its knowledge, but its perspective, intuition, and creativity, and together they form a force that carries all participants further than they could have gone alone. This is not mere cooperation, it is the birth of a new intelligence that exceeds the individual. Isolation weakens ambition. A man working alone may become discouraged, lose clarity, or grow blind to his own errors. Surrounded by others of vision, his energy is rekindled, his weaknesses are balanced, and his perspective is broadened. Doubt, which in solitude grows heavy, is dissolved when shared among allies who remind him of the goal and renew his faith. A mastermind group becomes a circle of strength, where each member uplifts the other, and together they rise. History offers countless proofs. The great inventors of the past did not labor entirely in solitude. They drew on the insights of colleagues, the support of financiers, the skills of craftsmen, and the encouragement of peers. The industrial giants who reshaped economies did not act alone. They surrounded themselves with brilliant advisors, managers, and innovators, creating teams whose collective genius built enterprises that spanned continents. Even the greatest military leaders knew that their victories depended not on their brilliance alone, but on the counsel of trusted generals and the loyalty of united soldiers. Always greatness was multiplied by the power of aligned minds. The mastermind principle extends beyond business or invention. In personal growth, too, the association you keep determines your altitude. If you walk with men of low vision, your own vision dims. If you surround yourself with those who doubt, complain, and settle, their energy seeps into your own spirit, and soon you join them in mediocrity. But if you join minds with those who strive, who believe, who push toward greatness, their fire ignites your own. You begin to think bigger, act bolder, and persist longer. The company you keep is the soil in which your potential either blossoms or withers. The mastermind also protects against one of the greatest enemies of success, blind spots. Alone, a man sees only from his own angle, shaped by his experiences and limitations. He may overlook dangers, misjudge opportunities, or cling stubbornly to failing strategies. In the presence of aligned minds, these blind spots are revealed. Others see what he cannot, warn him of errors, and offer alternatives. The collective vision of many minds prevents catastrophe and accelerates progress. It is as though each man holds a lantern, and together they illuminate the path more brightly than anyone could alone. But the true power of a mastermind lies not merely in the sharing of knowledge, but in the multiplication of energy. When minds harmonize around a shared purpose, a current of enthusiasm flows between them. Each contributes not only ideas, but belief, faith, and encouragement. This shared energy sustains the group through obstacles and difficulties that might crush an individual alone. A mastermind group becomes a source of courage, reminding each member that he is not alone in his climb, that others share the burden and the vision. To harness this power, one must be deliberate in choosing companions. Not every group of people forms a mastermind. Only when minds are aligned in harmony around a clear purpose does the true force emerge. Discord, jealousy, or conflicting aims poison the energy and scatter the power. Harmony is essential. Each member must contribute sincerely, seeking not only his own gain, but the success of the whole. In such unity lies strength beyond measure. It is also important to recognize that a mastermind can take many forms. It may be a formal group that meets regularly to share ideas, challenge each other, and hold one another accountable. It may be an informal circle of trusted friends, advisors, or mentors who provide counsel and support. It may even be a partnership of two minds deeply aligned, such as a marriage where both partners share a vision and uplift each other. In every case, the principle remains, aligned minds create multiplied power. For the individual seeking greatness, the message is clear: do not climb alone. Seek out those who share your purpose, who believe in your vision, and who bring skills and perspectives you do not possess. Offer them your own strengths in return. Build alliances of trust and harmony. Share openly, listen humbly, and contribute faithfully. In doing so, you will tap into a reservoir of power greater than yourself. Your ideas will sharpen, your courage will deepen, your persistence will lengthen, and your results will multiply. Even nature itself testifies to this law. A single drop of water evaporates quickly, but many drops form a river that carves valleys and turns mills. A single spark fades, but many sparks together ignite a fire that consumes forests. A single voice may be drowned, but many voices together shake nations. The strength of the many aligned around one purpose surpasses the strength of the one, no matter how gifted. Those who refuse this principle often pay the price in struggle and delay. They attempt to carry the entire burden alone, believing their knowledge sufficient, their strength enough, but their progress slows, their vision narrows, and their spirit tires. The climb is long, the obstacles many, and the summit high. Alone, few make it. With a mastermind, the climb becomes possible, even inevitable. For where one falls, another lifts him. Where one doubts, another encourages. Where one lacks, another provides. Together, they ascend. The greatest leaders are those who understand how to build and direct such alliances. They know that their personal genius is limited, but the collective genius of aligned minds is inexhaustible. They gather the right people, cultivate harmony, and channel the combined energy toward a definite aim. Their power seems superhuman to outsiders, but in truth it is simply the multiplied power of the mastermind. To embrace this principle in your own life is to unlock a force that few ever tap. It requires humility to admit you cannot climb alone. It requires discernment to choose the right companions. It requires harmony to maintain unity. But for those who practice it, the rewards are beyond measure. They rise faster, achieve more, and leave legacies that outlive them, because their work was not the product of one mind, but the creation of many in alignment. No man climbs alone. Every great ascent is a team of minds pulling together, thinking together, believing together. The mastermind is the invisible engine behind all lasting success, the multiplier of power, the builder of empires. Seek it, cultivate it, and contribute to it, and you will find that your climb, once impossible, becomes not only possible but certain. For when aligned minds unite in harmony, mountains move, barriers break, and dreams become reality. Decisive action is the mark of leaders. Hesitation is the language of the defeated. In every age, in every land, men have risen to leadership not because they possessed the greatest knowledge or the most resources, but because they dared to decide and to act when others wavered. The world is full of those who hesitate, who endlessly weigh possibilities, who wait for perfect certainty before they move. But life grants no such certainty. There will always be risk, always be doubt, always be incomplete information. The leader knows this truth and acts in spite of it. The defeated, enslaved by hesitation, miss their chance, surrender opportunities, and bury their potential under the weight of indecision. To hesitate is to hand power to fear. Each time a man delays a decision, he allows doubt to whisper louder, fear to grow stronger, and opportunity to fade away. Life does not wait for the hesitant. It moves, it flows, and it rewards those who move with it. A moment of hesitation can mean the loss of a fortune, the loss of an idea's advantage, the loss of a door that may never open again. Leaders understand that the cost of inaction is always greater than the cost of imperfect action. They act, they learn, they adjust, but they do not stand still. Decisive action is not recklessness. It is not blind movement without thought. It is the courage to make a choice with the knowledge available, and the faith to follow it through. Leaders weigh quickly, decide firmly, and move boldly. They know that to stand at the crossroads too long is to be overtaken by those who chose a path and walked it. Even a less than perfect choice, executed with conviction, leads to growth and progress, while indecision leads only to stagnation and regret. History is filled with examples. Great generals did not win battles by waiting endlessly for perfect conditions. They struck when opportunities appeared, often with incomplete plans, trusting their ability to adapt once engaged. Entrepreneurs who built empires did not wait until every detail was known. They launched, learned from mistakes, and refined their course along the way. Inventors who transformed civilization did not spend lifetimes in theory. They experimented, failed, persisted, and succeeded through action. In every case, decisive action distinguished the leader from the defeated. Hesitation springs from the illusion that safety lies in waiting. But in truth, safety lies in motion. To wait is to fall behind, for the world does not stand still. Competitors move, opportunities vanish, circumstances change, and what might have been a victory today may be impossible tomorrow. The hesitant man believes he avoids failure by delaying, but in reality he guarantees it. Failure through inaction is the most certain kind of defeat. Leaders understand this and embrace action as the only true safeguard against stagnation. Decisive action also inspires confidence in others. People follow those who move with certainty. They trust the leader who speaks clearly, chooses boldly, and acts firmly. Even if the leader errs, followers respect his willingness to decide, for it gives them direction and purpose. Nothing destroys confidence faster than hesitation at the top. A hesitant leader spreads doubt like disease, paralyzing his followers and weakening the mission. A decisive leader, even in uncertain times, becomes a beacon of strength, rallying others to move forward with him. The defeated are marked by endless questions. They ask, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if others disapprove? They live in a cycle of hesitation where no step is ever taken, no risk is ever embraced, and no victory is ever won. Their minds become graveyards of unexecuted ideas, each dream buried by delay. Leaders, by contrast, ask, what must I do now? What step will move me forward? What decision aligns with my purpose? They act, and in action they discover answers the hesitant will never know. There is a law of momentum in human life. Action breeds more action. Confidence breeds more confidence. Progress breeds more progress. But hesitation breeds paralysis. Doubt breeds fear. And delay breeds regret. The man who hesitates once will hesitate again until hesitation becomes his habit, his character, his destiny. The man who acts decisively builds courage with each choice until decisiveness becomes his nature and leadership his inheritance. Every decision, whether small or great, trains the soul toward one path or the other. Decisive action also develops clarity. While the hesitant wait for clarity before acting, the leader acts to create clarity. Only in motion do obstacles reveal themselves. Only in the journey do better routes appear. Only in the attempt do true strengths and weaknesses become visible. A man may plan endlessly in his mind, but only action uncovers reality. The leader understands this and chooses to move, knowing that progress reveals what no amount of hesitation ever can. Fear of criticism holds many in hesitation. They dread the opinions of others, the possibility of being judged for mistakes. But leaders understand that criticism is the price of boldness, and they pay it willingly. Better to be criticized for acting than forgotten for doing nothing. The hesitant man is safe from judgment only because he is invisible, and invisibility is the surest form of defeat. Leaders in their decisiveness draw both critics and followers, but in time it is the results of their actions that silence doubters and secure their place in history. Decisiveness is also a declaration of faith. To act boldly is to affirm belief in your vision, your abilities, and your destiny. Hesitation betrays doubt, telling the world and yourself that you do not truly believe. Each decisive act strengthens faith, while each hesitation weakens it. Faith grows when tested, and action is the test. Leaders, therefore, are men and women of faith, not blind faith in chance, but strong faith in their purpose and their capacity to meet challenges as they arise. Even in personal life, this principle rules. Opportunities for love, for growth, for transformation appear and vanish quickly. A word unspoken may never again be spoken. A chance ignored may never return. Those who hesitate live lives of what if. Those who act live lives of I did. The difference between fulfillment and regret often lies in a single moment of decision. Leaders seize those moments. The defeated let them pass. The road of decisiveness is not without mistakes, but mistakes can be corrected while hesitation cannot. You can change course while moving. You cannot change anything while standing still. A leader understands that course corrections are part of progress. A ship must sail to be steered. A life must move to be guided. The hesitant man never leaves the harbor, and so he never learns, never grows, never reaches the destination. To cultivate decisiveness, one must practice it daily. Begin with small choices made quickly and firmly. Train the mind to trust judgment, to commit to a course, and to follow through. As this habit grows, larger decisions become easier and leadership qualities strengthen. Soon decisiveness becomes natural and hesitation unnatural. This discipline is the foundation of leadership, for no man can lead others who cannot first lead himself in decision and action. The truth is clear. The world belongs to those who decide. History honors those who acted, not those who pondered. Progress was driven by the bold, not the hesitant. Victories were won by those who seized the moment, not those who let it slip away. Decisive action marks the leader. Hesitation marks the defeated. Choose decisiveness, for in that choice lies the power to shape your destiny, inspire others, and leave a legacy of courage and achievement. Persistence turns failures into stepping stones and defeats into detours, never dead ends. Life has a way of testing resolve. No matter how carefully one plans, no matter how fiercely one desires, obstacles rise, disappointments strike, and setbacks come. These moments are not signals to surrender, but invitations to prove determination. The man who quits at the sight of difficulty never tastes the sweetness of victory. The man who persists, who refuses to see failure as final, transforms every stumbling block into a stepping stone. Each defeat is reshaped into a detour that leads not backward but forward, not downward but upward, until the dream becomes reality. Failure, in truth, does not exist for the persistent. What the world calls failure is only feedback, only information, only a redirection of effort. The persistent soul sees in every disappointment the lesson required to refine strategy, sharpen skill, and deepen resilience. He understands that each closed door is not the end of the path, but a sign that another, perhaps greater, door waits ahead. Defeat is temporary to him, a pause that strengthens his resolve. Those who persist are never truly defeated because they never stop moving toward their goal. Consider the history of great achievers. None have walked smooth and unbroken roads. The inventors who gave us light, flight, and progress all met ridicule, rejection, and repeated failure. Yet they persisted. Their setbacks became stepping stones, each experiment teaching them what would not work until they found what would. Their so-called defeats were merely detours that carried them closer to truth. Had they quit, the world would remain in darkness and their names would be forgotten. Instead, persistence immortalized them, proving that endurance is the true measure of greatness. Persistence is not stubbornness without intelligence. It is determination guided by adaptation. The persistent individual does not beat endlessly against a locked door, but searches for another entrance, another route, another strategy. He treats defeat as a teacher, not a tyrant. When the plan collapses, he builds a new one. When the way is blocked, he carves another. Persistence is flexible in method, but unwavering in purpose. This balance of tenacity and wisdom ensures that no setback becomes permanent. Failure breaks those who see it as the end. They collapse beneath the weight of disappointment because they interpret defeat as a reflection of their worth rather than a test of their will. The persistent rise again and again, no matter how heavy the fall. Their mindset transforms loss into leverage. Every setback adds strength. Every mistake adds experience. Every disappointment adds fuel to the fire of determination. To them, the journey itself is sculpting the character required to hold the success they seek. Defeats are detours. They do not destroy the destination. They simply redirect the traveler. The path to any worthy goal is rarely straight. It twists, it turns, it demands detours through hardship, delay, and struggle. These detours are not punishments but protections, preventing the unprepared from reaching success too soon. They are refinements, shaping endurance, humility, and courage. The persistent traveler embraces the detour, trusting that it still leads forward. He may walk longer, but he walks stronger, and in the end he arrives not only at the goal, but at a higher version of himself. The secret to persistence is vision. A man who clearly sees his purpose can endure any setback, for his mind is anchored beyond the present trial. His eyes remain fixed on the outcome, and so no obstacle can convince him to quit. Vision fuels persistence, persistence overcomes defeat, and defeat reshaped becomes progress. Without vision, persistence withers. Without persistence, vision fades. Together they make the unstoppable force that transforms dreams into realities. Persistence is also the antidote to fear. Many stop at failure because they fear repeating it. They dread humiliation, rejection, or the pain of loss. But persistence robs fear of its power. Each time a man rises after falling, fear diminishes. Each attempt builds courage until failure no longer terrifies but motivates. The persistent soul knows that fear has no dominion over one who refuses to surrender. Society often celebrates success but hides the long persistence behind it. People see the triumph, the recognition, the glory, but not the countless nights of struggle, the repeated setbacks, the silent battles of discouragement conquered only by persistence. If men understood the hidden cost of greatness, they would honor persistence above talent, above luck, above opportunity. For talent without persistence is wasted, luck without persistence is lost, and opportunity without persistence is meaningless. Persistence alone ensures the seed bears fruit. Even nature reveals this law. Rivers cut through mountains not by force but by persistence. Seasons return unfailingly, wearing down even the hardest soil. Seeds break stone and rise toward the sun because they persist in growth. The universe itself honors the principle of persistence, rewarding continuous effort with transformation. Man, aligned with this law, achieves what once seemed impossible. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is rarely intelligence or resources. It is persistence. Two men may begin with the same dream, but one quits at the first obstacle, while the other continues through 1,000. The quitter explains his failure, blaming fate, luck, or circumstance. The persistent man refuses excuses and presses forward until success cannot deny him. The world, in the end, bows to persistence, for no obstacle can resist it forever. To cultivate persistence, one must build habits of resilience. Begin by refusing to quit on small challenges. Train the mind to endure discomfort, to push through inconvenience, to finish what is started. Each victory over weakness strengthens the muscle of persistence. Over time, it becomes second nature to keep moving despite difficulty. Persistence is not a gift, but a discipline, forged by daily choices to press on when quitting seems easier. Persistence also demands belief in oneself. The man who doubts his worth cannot persist long in the face of failure, but the one who believes, who knows that every setback refines him, finds the strength to continue. Self-belief feeds persistence, and persistence reinforces belief. This cycle transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. Those who lack persistence live lives of regret. They speak endlessly of what might have been, of dreams abandoned, of chances lost. Their stories are filled with unfinished attempts and unfulfilled potential. The persistent live differently. Their stories may include failure, but always as stepping stones, never as endings. They leave legacies of resilience, of battles fought and won, of dreams realized because they refuse to give up. Success does not come to the swiftest or the strongest alone, but to the most persistent. Time itself bends to the man who endures. Opportunities arise again, doors reopen, conditions shift in favor of the one who never left the field. The persistent know that as long as they remain in the game, victory is possible. The defeated know only the emptiness of surrender. The truth is unshakable. Persistence turns failures into stepping stones and defeats into detours, never dead ends. With persistence, every setback becomes progress disguised. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity in hiding, and every disappointment becomes a deeper preparation for triumph. Without persistence, even the smallest difficulty becomes insurmountable. Choose persistence, and you choose power. Choose persistence, and you choose destiny. Choose persistence, and you ensure that no failure, no defeat, and no obstacle will ever have the final word over your life. Imagination is the workshop of the soul. Everything you see began first as a thought. Every building that pierces the sky, every invention that transformed the world, every system that governs society, every piece of art that stirs the heart, all of it was once invisible. It existed first as a spark in the unseen chamber of the mind, a whisper of possibility that only imagination could hear. The power of imagination is the foundation of progress, the origin of creation, the hidden architect behind every visible achievement. Without imagination, man would remain bound by what already exists, chained to the present, unable to reach toward the future. With imagination, he transcends limits, defies boundaries, and turns the unseen into the undeniable. Imagination is not idle fantasy. It is the conscious use of the mind to design, to create, to foresee. When properly directed, imagination becomes the most practical of faculties, for it precedes all action and achievement. A thought, held firmly and nourished by belief, becomes the blueprint for reality. The soul communicates its highest possibilities through imagination, offering glimpses of what could be. The great secret is that what could be already exists in potential, waiting only for man's persistence to bring it forth. Look at history. The wheel, the printing press, the airplane, electricity, and the countless marvels of modern life. All were first thoughts. Men dared to imagine what others deemed impossible. They pictured a world beyond the one in front of them and refused to surrender that vision. Their imagination built a bridge between the seen and the unseen, carrying them across ridicule, failure, and doubt until their thought became tangible. Today, the world accepts their creations as commonplace, but at the time of conception, they were miracles born in the workshop of the soul. Imagination distinguishes man from every other creature. Animals act by instinct, confined to the patterns of nature. Man, by imagination, transcends nature and reshapes it. He is not limited to reacting to the world. He can design it. Through imagination, he paints the future before it arrives. He writes music before a note is heard, builds cities before a stone is laid, and dreams of freedom before chains are broken. Imagination is the evidence of man's divine gift of creation, a power that aligns him with the infinite intelligence that governs the universe. Yet imagination is a double-edged gift. It can elevate or destroy, liberate or enslave. For the mind will create according to the thoughts it is given. If one feeds imagination with fear, it paints terrifying pictures, and those pictures manifest as anxiety, hesitation, and failure. If one feeds imagination with faith and purpose, it builds visions of triumph that draw man upward. The workshop of the soul is always in use. The question is whether it builds cathedrals of achievement or prisons of limitation. Children reveal imagination in its purest form. They play, create, and dream without constraint, effortlessly turning sticks into swords, boxes into castles, and the ordinary into the extraordinary. Their souls, unburdened by doubt, operate naturally in the workshop of imagination. As they grow, society often teaches them to suppress this gift, conform to what already exists, to stop imagining the impossible. But the leaders, the creators, the visionaries are those who never allowed their imagination to die. They nurtured it, protected it, and directed it toward great purpose. To use imagination effectively, one must learn to discipline it. Daydreaming without action is wasteful, but imagination directed toward a definite purpose becomes power. The mind must be trained to hold visions clearly, to refine them into plans, and to energize them with belief. Visualization is one of the greatest exercises of imagination. To picture vividly the success you desire is to begin drawing it into your reality. The subconscious mind responds to images, and imagination provides them. What you consistently imagine with faith becomes impressed upon the subconscious, which then works tirelessly to manifest it through action, habit, and circumstance. Every man is a creator. He may deny it, but his life reflects his imagination. Those who live in fear imagine failure so vividly that they walk directly into it. Those who live in faith imagine success so clearly that they build it step by step. A poor man who constantly imagines scarcity, lack, and defeat attracts it. A poor man who imagines wealth, growth, and opportunity begins to move toward it. Imagination sets the direction of life, for it plants the seeds that actions water and persistence grows. Imagination is also the cure for limitations. Where logic says it cannot be done, imagination whispers, what if it could? Where experience says this is the way it has always been, imagination replies, this is how it will be. Every breakthrough in science, art, or philosophy began when someone dared to imagine beyond the accepted boundaries. The Wright brothers imagined flight when experts declared it impossible. Scientists imagined harnessing electricity when others feared it. Leaders imagined freedom when nations were bound in tyranny. Progress was never born from conformity. It was born from imagination refusing to bow to limitation. There are two forms of imagination, synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination rearranges existing ideas into new combinations. It improves, modifies, and refines what already exists. Creative imagination reaches beyond the known, tapping into infinite intelligence, producing ideas that seem to come from nowhere. Both are vital. Synthetic imagination makes practical progress, while creative imagination brings forth the revolutionary. Together, they ensure that the workshop of the soul produces both continuity and breakthrough, stability and innovation. The challenge of life is not that men lack imagination, but that they fail to use it. They allow fear, doubt, and routine to dominate their thoughts. They imagine negative outcomes so vividly that they paralyze themselves. The man who constantly says, I cannot, has already imagined his defeat. The man who says, I will, has begun imagining his victory. The difference lies in the images allowed to govern the soul. To cultivate imagination, one must feed the mind with inspiration. Reading, observing, reflecting, and exposing oneself to new ideas fuels the imagination. Silence and solitude also nourish it, for in stillness the soul whispers its greatest visions. Exercises of visualization, writing, and creative problem-solving strengthen it further. Like a muscle, imagination grows with use. Neglected, it withers. Exercised, it becomes a powerhouse of creation. Imagination also demands courage. For to imagine greatly is to risk ridicule. The world often mocks what it does not yet understand. The dreamer is called a fool until his vision succeeds, at which point he is called a genius. One must persist in imagination despite rejection, holding firmly to the vision until it manifests. Courage protects imagination, shielding it from the poison of doubt until time vindicates it. The greatest tragedy is not failure of effort, but failure of imagination. Many never rise because they never dared to see beyond their current circumstance. They settle for what is, never imagining what could be. They chain themselves in invisible prisons. The bars made of limited thoughts. The man who refuses to imagine new horizons will forever walk in circles within his present reality. The man who imagines boldly will break chains, cross oceans, and leave legacies. Everything you see began first as a thought. The chair you sit upon, the house you live in, the book you hold, the music you hear, the path you walk, all of it was once unseen. Someone imagined it. Someone dared to believe in the invisible. Someone labored to bring thought into form. You too hold this power. Your imagination is the workshop of your soul, and your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. Guard your imagination, for it is the seedbed of your future. Fill it with images of faith, hope, abundance, and purpose. Direct it toward goals worthy of your soul. Discipline it through visualization and action. Protect it from the poison of fear and doubt. And above all, use it. For imagination unused is potential wasted, but imagination applied is creation unleashed. When you understand this truth, you will never again see imagination as play. You will recognize it as the most practical tool of achievement. The workshop where tomorrow is built today. Everything begins within you. Everything begins as a thought. And in that sacred workshop, you hold the keys to create a life of greatness, a legacy of meaning, and a future that outlives you. Imagination is the workshop of the soul. Everything you see began first as a thought. Every bridge that spans a river, every towering skyscraper, every work of art, every scientific discovery, every invention that altered the course of civilization was first invisible. It was conceived in the mind before it was ever made real in the world. The human eye sees what is, but imagination sees what could be. That is the true power of man, the gift that separates him from all other living creatures. Imagination is not idle fancy or wishful dreaming. It is the creative faculty through which the soul reveals its highest possibilities and through which the unseen becomes the seen. When you look at your surroundings, you see the evidence of imagination everywhere. The chair you sit on was imagined by someone before it was built. The device you hold in your hand was once no more than an idea in a mind bold enough to believe it possible. The music that fills your ears, the books that shape your thoughts, the medicine that heals your body, all of these were once thoughts intangible and invisible, born in the workshop of imagination. To understand this truth is to understand the origin of progress itself. Nothing exists in the material world that did not first exist in the immaterial realm of thought. Imagination is the womb of creation. It takes fragments of ideas, whispers of possibility, and flashes of insight, and it shapes them into visions. These visions, when married to faith and action, become reality. A thought is like a seed. Imagination plants it in the soil of the mind, nurtures it with belief, waters it with persistence, and in time it grows into form. Just as a farmer cannot harvest without planting, man cannot achieve without first imagining. The crop of your life is determined by the seeds you allow into your imagination. If you sow fear, doubt, and limitation, your life will mirror it. If you sow faith, abundance, and purpose, your life will manifest it. Greatness has always begun with imagination. The men who built empires, discovered new lands, and transformed societies all shared this quality. They dared to imagine beyond the boundaries of their time. When others accepted the world as it was, they envisioned the world as it could be. They saw ships sailing beyond the horizon, machines flying through the sky, and communication across vast distances. They saw freedom where others saw chains, prosperity where others saw poverty, opportunity where others saw only hardship. Their imagination was not bound by what existed. It reached into the infinite, pulling forth possibilities that reshaped reality for generations. But imagination is not only for the great names of history, it belongs to every soul. It is present in every child who builds castles out of sand, who turns sticks into swords, who creates whole worlds out of play. It is present in every man and woman who dreams of a better life, who sees in their mind's eye the person they wish to become. The tragedy is not that some are without imagination, but that many abandon it. Society trains people to conform, to accept what is, to fear what is different, and in doing so, it dulls the sharp edge of imagination. Yet those who preserve it, who cultivate it, become creators of their destiny. Imagination has two forms, synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination arranges old ideas into new combinations. It improves, refines, and innovates upon what already exists. Creative imagination goes further. It taps into infinite intelligence, receiving flashes of inspiration, original ideas, and revolutionary concepts that seem to come from beyond the self. Both are essential. Synthetic imagination makes progress steady, while creative imagination leaps forward, breaking boundaries. The greatest creators use both, combining knowledge with inspiration to produce results the world has never seen. The mind is always imagining. The question is whether it imagines in your favor or against you. A man who constantly imagines failure, rejection, and loss unconsciously creates it in his life. His thoughts shape his emotions. His emotions shape his actions, and his actions shape his results. He fulfills his own dark imagination. Another man imagines success, achievement, and growth. His thoughts build belief, his belief fuels action, and his action produces results aligned with his vision. He too fulfills what he imagined. In both cases, imagination is at work, but one uses it destructively while the other uses it creatively. Therefore, one must guard the images of the mind. What you allow to dominate your imagination will manifest in your life. Fear is imagination misused. Anxiety is imagination focused on failure. Worry is imagination directed toward disaster. Faith, hope, and vision are imagination rightly used, turned toward possibility, abundance, and victory. The choice is always yours, to let imagination enslave you with images of despair or to empower you with visions of triumph. To develop imagination, one must feed it with material worthy of creation. Reading great books, studying great ideas, reflecting in silence, exposing oneself to beauty and truth. All of these nourish imagination. Equally important is the practice of visualization. To sit quietly and picture vividly the life you desire, to imagine yourself already in possession of it, to feel it as though it were real, is to impress that image upon the subconscious mind. The subconscious, once convinced, sets in motion thoughts, actions, and circumstances that align with that vision. Many dismiss this as fanciful, yet the most successful in every field use it, consciously or unconsciously. Imagination demands courage. To imagine boldly is to step beyond the accepted limits of society. Many will mock the dreamer, calling him impractical, foolish, or naive. But ridicule is often the shadow that precedes greatness. Every revolutionary idea was first laughed at before it was accepted. The dreamer must persist, holding fast to his vision until the world catches up. The same society that mocks today will celebrate tomorrow once imagination has been proven by reality. The greatest danger is not lack of resources, connections, or talent. The greatest danger is lack of imagination. A man without imagination accepts life as it is, never questioning, never reaching higher, never daring to believe he can shape his destiny. He lives within invisible walls, imprisoned by his own inability to see beyond them. Another man, even without wealth, without influence, without advantage, but with imagination, can rise above his circumstances. He can see opportunity where others see obstacles. He can create new paths where others see none. Imagination turns limitation into possibility, and possibility into achievement. When you realize that everything you touch was once a thought, you begin to respect the power of your own thoughts. You no longer dismiss daydreams as idle. You recognize them as the beginning of creation. You learn to cultivate them, refine them, and direct them with purpose. You stop saying it cannot be done and begin asking, what if it can? You stop accepting the world as it is and begin shaping the world as it could be. Imagination is the workshop of the soul. It is where invisible designs are drafted, where visions are born, where the seeds of greatness are planted. To neglect it is to forfeit your creative power. To use it wisely is claim your inheritance as a co-creator with the infinite. Feed your imagination with noble images. Fuel it with faith, direct it with purpose, and guard it against fear. In doing so, you awaken the limitless potential within you. Look around you once more. Every tool, every structure, every piece of art, every system began as a thought. The evidence surrounds you. You too are capable of such creation. The life you desire, the success you pursue, the legacy you dream of, they too must begin as thoughts. Do not wait for circumstances to change before you imagine. Imagine first, and circumstances will follow. Everything you see began first as a thought. Everything you will ever achieve will begin the same way. The workshop of your soul is always open, always ready, always waiting. What you imagine today will be the world you inhabit tomorrow.